Students, today we will discuss, as I told you, the general portion of the environmental science. Okay, the natural resources. We will see what are the natural resources that we have. That is module number 1 and lecture number 1. This is the some of the course objective of your subject of your course, that is your subject name of the papers is environmental science, and subject code is MC301 or 401, and the contact hour is 24. These are the some of the course objective, that is you can understand the natural environment and its relationship with human activities. You can apply the fundamental knowledge of science and engineering to assess the environmental and the health risk. You can understand the environmental laws and regulations, and you can develop the guidelines and procedures for health and safety issues, and you can solve some of the problems related to the environment with your fundamental knowledge, with the fundamental knowledge of air, water, noise and land pollution. Okay, so these are the course outcome of the course. So after this course, you can understand the natural environment and its relationship with us. You can apply the fundamental knowledge for science and engineering to assess the environmental and health risk. You can develop the guideline and procedure for the health and safety issues, and also you can acquire some skills for scientific problems and solve the problems that is related to the environment, related to the air, water, noise. This is the lecture plan of this chapter. Okay, now these are the some of the objectives of today's class. Today we will discuss about the components of environment. What are the components of environment that we have, that we will see first. Second, we will discuss some of the resources, that is our forest resource, water resources, mineral resources and the CHIPCO movement. And also we will discuss about the environmental degradation, how the environment is getting polluted and degraded day by day by our activity. Okay, so all this we will discuss in our today's class. Okay, now components of environment. So actually what is environment? Environment, actually you can define the surrounding us, whatever physical, chemical, biological factors, whatever we have, whatever ecological community we have, that is as a whole we can called as our environment. Okay, whatever we have. Now these are the some of the components of environment. What are the components? That is the atmosphere. Atmosphere, generally the sphere of the air, where we have the air molecules. Okay, the hydrosphere, the sphere containing water. All type of, in hydrosphere, all type of water resources, water molecules that we have in this sphere. So all type of water resources generally uh, belongs to this sphere, that is hydrosphere. The lithosphere, all type of land resources like soil, rocks, whatever we have, all type of land resources, that is called by lithosphere. And biosphere, biosphere, the sphere of living organism, the sphere where we live. Okay, all type of living organism, that is the biosphere. So these are the some of the components of the environment that we have. Okay, so this is the classification of components, very important. From this portion you can have this type of question that discuss about the each components of environment, how you can classify the components of environment, or classify the components of environment and explain each with example. So these are the some of the types of questions that you have in your exam. Okay. Now, environment is generally two types. The components of the environment are of two types. One is abiotic components, one is biotic components. Okay, abiotic components, generally abiotic, that means the non-living systems. Whatever non-living systems, all are belongs to this abiotic component. And biotic component, biotic, that means the living system. Whatever living systems we have in our environment, that is the biotic components. Now, abiotic component again of three types. One is lithosphere. Okay, lithosphere, as I told you earlier, that lithosphere, that means the all type of land resources, whatever rock, soil, um, whatever land we have, that is lithosphere, that is called by lithosphere. Next we have the hydrosphere. Hydrosphere means the water body, whatever water resources we have, river, pond, lake, sea, ocean, so all types of water resources, that is called by hydrosphere. Okay, now lithosphere again of three types. Okay, the igneous rock, sedimentary rock, and metamorphic rock. And hydrosphere again of two types. One is surface water and one is groundwater. Okay, you know, recently we are facing a big problem, big challenge for using the groundwater, because the day by day the groundwater layer of the groundwater is decreasing, and thus there are so many areas, so many cities that we have now, which is facing the water scarcity. Recently, in this year, also we have seen that Chennai, Delhi are facing some of the severe water crisis problem for due to the decrease in groundwater layer. Okay, so this is the hydrosphere are of two types: surface water, groundwater. Surface water generally on the earth surface, whatever water molecules we are getting, that is the surface water. That are the saline water. Again, two types: saline water or fresh water. And secondly, we have the groundwater, subsurface water. Okay, next we have atmosphere. Atmosphere generally are of the layer of the atmosphere, you can say the layer of the atmosphere, that is troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere. Again, the thermosphere are of two type, one is ionosphere and one is exosphere. Okay, so these are the some of the components of environment. And here biotic components, generally biosphere, all type of organic the organic components are belonging to this category. And biosphere generally two type, you know, that is the producers and consumers, that is plant kingdom and animal kingdom. Okay, so these are the classification, total classification of the environment. Okay, now atmosphere. Generally, this is the total layers of the atmosphere we have. So, around the earth surface where we live, that is the troposphere. Okay, so troposphere generally from the sea level around this is around 10 kilometer. Around 10 kilometer we have this troposphere. Okay, and while the increase in the distance, the what will happen, the temperature will decrease. So for the troposphere, while we go upside, the temperature will decrease. Okay, and troposphere up to 10 kilometer we have the troposphere surrounding the earth. Okay, next we have the stratosphere. Stratosphere generally are consisting of ozone, that is the ozone layer, ozone molecules. Okay, so these ozone layers or ozone molecules are very important, as the stratosphere can can absorb the UV radiation. So whatever sun, from the sunlight, whatever energy we are getting, that is including so many radiations, different types of radiations that we have. So among them, UV radiation is very much harmful for any type of system, for any type of living system. Okay, so what will happen, while the sunlight will pass through this stratosphere, all the ozone molecule will absorb this UV radiation. What will happen, thus this stratosphere, this layer will protect us from absorbing the UV radiation, protect our skin from absorbing the UV radiation. If and it can be seen, it can say that if our skin is exposed to the UV radiation for a long time, that time skin disease can happen. Okay, so this is very harmful, the UV radiation, and which is prevented by the stratosphere. So very important role, stratosphere is playing very important role. After that, but in this stratosphere, generally, if the height will be higher, if we go upside, what will happen, the temperature will increase. Okay, so in this layer, that is the just opposite of the troposphere. Next we have the mesosphere. So stratospheres stratosphere are generally 50 kilometer. The from the sea level it is 50 kilometer. Okay, so now we have the mesosphere. After the stratosphere we have the mesosphere, which is up to 90 kilometer we can have. So in this mesosphere, what will happen, the temperature, if we go towards the upside, so the temperature will decrease again, like the troposphere. After the mesosphere we have the thermosphere. So thermosphere, here temperature is very high. Why? Because whatever X-ray radiation that is coming from the sunlight, that is absorbed by the thermosphere, and thus the okay, so thus the thermosphere we can absorb the X radiations. Okay, X-ray radiation. So after thermosphere we have the exosphere and ionosphere. The two type of layers we have, that is exosphere and ionosphere. Ionosphere, all type of ions are there in the ionosphere. Okay, so these are the some of the layers that we have in the Earth's atmosphere. So this is very important. You can have from this portion, you can have this type of question, discuss about the layers of Earth's atmosphere, or where by which layer the UV radiation will be protected. will be absorbed the UV radiation. So these are the some of the questions that you can have from this portion. Okay, next, environmental degradation, very common and very important crisis that we are facing. Like environmental degradation. What is environmental degradation? For our activity, for our development, what will happen day by day? The environment is getting polluted, is getting degraded. Okay, uh, like overpopulation. What are the causes? That is overpopulation, rapid urbanization, deforestation. For the rapid urbanization, the main effect is the deforestation. We have to cut the trees, and thus the and that is which is very harmful for the environment, which can increase the temperature of the earth surface, and which is called by the global warming. Okay, so rapid industrialization. So many, if we have so many industries, what will happen from the industries, from factory, some of the poisonous gases, so many poisonous chemicals are mixing to the environment, and which is regularly polluting the environment. Okay, rapid deforestation. If we cut the trees, then we that is very harmful for our sustainability also. Okay, like increased radiator transportation, right? Transportation, for the in development of the transportation process, what will happen? The maximum, the particular the from the automobile engines, we are having the maximum amount of the air pollution. Okay, so uh, one more thing, one more cause we have, that is the agriculture. We are using for improve agricultural techniques. Some of the cases, we are using the higher amount of fertilizers, pesticides, some of the harmful hazardous chemicals, and in excess amount, which is mixing to the soil, which is mixing, discharging into the water, and which is ultimately polluting our environment. And the last is the nuclear explosion. Obviously, from the nuclear explosion, uranium, so many harmful radioactive elements we are having, that is discharging into the environment, and what is which is very harmful. Okay, so these are the some of the causes, which is for which day by day the environment is getting degraded, the environment is getting polluted. Okay, so you can see these are the some pictures I have given you. That is the how the environment is degraded, how the environment is getting polluted by our activity. Now come to the sustainable development. So sorry, from this portion you can have this type of question: what do you mean by sustainable development? Sustainable development means we cannot stop our development. So what we have to do, we have to develop ourselves by keeping in our mind that we should not pollute our environment. We have to also keep our environment safe. So this concept is called sustainable development. To minimize the depletion of natural resources when creating new developments, like we are using so many amount of fuels, the natural resources, and which are non-renewable, which cannot replaced. So what will happen, if we create some of the new development, new machines, which can use the minimum amount of natural resources, that will be that will be a sustainable uh, solution for us to create development that can be maintained and sustained without causing further harm to the environment, and to provide methods for the existing developments to make them into the environmental friendly projects. Exactly. So these are the some of the procedure, some of the process that we can follow for while we are doing the development, but keeping our environment also safe. So this is called sustainable development. Okay, now we will discuss about the some of the natural resources. Okay, so natural resources means whatever the resource is a source supply from which benefit is produced. Resources can be broadly classified based on the availability. Okay, so resources are generally, you know, all that is renewable resources and non-renewable resources. Renewable resources, you know, that the resources which can again use again and again. Okay, can be used. And non-renewable, the non-renewable resources like at if we are using that non-renewable resources at some time, what will happen? They will be finished. They are exhaustible. Okay, so that is non-renewable. That we will see. What are the natural resources? Generally, we have water, land, soil, rocks, forest, animals, fossil fuels, minerals. They are all called the natural resources. Okay. Okay, so now very important portion, that is classification of natural resources. Okay, so resources are, as I told you, two type. One is renewable, one is non-renewable. Renewable, like direct solar energy, and non renewable. Renewable. There are two types of renewable. The energies we have, resources we have. One is direct solar energy, and the second we have like winds, tide, water. Okay, so these are the also we can use as a renewable resources. Non-renewable resource like fossil fuel, minerals, iron, copper, zinc, all type of metals. Non-metallic minerals like clay, sand, phosphate. Okay, so these are the three types of non-renewable resources. Again, resources can be one more type, that is the potentially renewable. Potentially renewable resources like air, water, soil, plants and animals. So they are the resources. So potentially usable resource, renewable resources. Okay. So yeah. Now also natural resources can be divided into this two classification, that is non-renewable resources and renewable resources. Okay, non-renewable resources, again, resources are consumed when used coal, resources that can be exhausted by overuse. Okay, and renewable resources are of two type: resources that are always available like wind, water, resources that can be recycled like metals. So these are the some of the classification of resources and also classification of natural resources. While you have the question, that time you have to check whether you are asked for the resources or natural resources, or both you can write down as your answer. Yeah, classification of natural resources. So as I told you, renewable energy, what are the renewable energy which we can renew, which we can use again and again, like solar energy, like water energy. Okay, so these are all the renewable energy. And non-renewable energy like fossil fuel, okay, coal, nuclear power. These are the non-renewable energies. Okay, now these are the some of the potentially renewable resources. Potentially renewable resources. Okay, so potentially renewable resources are like wind power. Okay, wind energy. So like these are the some of the, you can see some of the windmills by which we can generate the electricity. Okay, so that is the wind power is a generation of electricity based on change in airflow and conversion of kinetic energy of the electrical kinetic energy to electrical energy. Okay. So airflow, generally what will happen, mm, uh, generally what will happen, wind power, we are using the wind power for the generation of electricity. Okay. Yeah. Next, potentially usable the renewable resource is, that is the solar power. Recently, the solar cells are used very frequently in many various cases, like for cooking. Okay, some for the charging of the car batteries. Okay, there are so many cases that we can see the solar powers, or for the transportation system we are using the solar cells. Okay, so solar power is the conversion of irradiance to electrical energy, either through the heating of a fluid, which in turn used to generate the steam. Okay, so these solar cells we can use as a potentially renewable resources. Okay, the next, hydropower, that means the water. The hydropower is we can also use the water for the generation of electricity with the help of the turbine. Okay. Next is wave power. Wave power is the generation of electricity through the change in height. Okay, and through a wave. This is also very new concept that we can use as a potentially renewable resource. Okay, and one more thing we have, that is the geothermal. Geothermal involves pumping of water into the high temperature underground. Okay, the generation of steam by the water and using that steam to turn a turbine. So thus the electricity will be generated. So this is called geothermal process. And all we know that biomass, that means all type of organic waste also can be used for the generation of electricity. So this is all about the potentially renewable resources. Now, food resource. Okay, so uh, all we know, for our activities, for generation of energy, for doing some work, we need require the energy. So and who will provide this energy? The food will provide. The food is food provide the energy to do the work. Okay, now so food is very essential material which body needs for the well-being. Now what will happen, out of the 2,50,000 species of plants, only 3,000 have been tried for the agricultural crops, and among which only 300 are grown for the food and 100 are used in a large scale. uh, and only 20 crop spices like rice, wheat, corn, potatoes, okay, provided the as the world food. Now we have two important topics, that is undernourishment and malnourishment. Okay, so in the food resource also, this type of, from this portion also, this type of questions you can have. What do you mean by undernourishment? What do you mean by malnourishment? Undernourishment means the uh, um, like while the body cannot get the required amount of food to provide the energy, to generate the energy, that is called by undernourishment. And malnourishment means while the we are taking the food, but we are not taking the food properly, like proper balancing. We should take the food in a proper balance, like vitamin, minerals, protein, all these animal proteins, all these we have to take in a proper balance, proper manner. But why we don't maintain that balance, so that is called malnourishment. So malnourishment can be the case while now we are taking so many food, but we are not taking in a balancing manner, so that time also we can have the malnourishment. Okay, so what do you mean by what are the differences between undernourishment and malnourishment? This type of questions also you can have in your exam. So undernourishment is a lack of sufficient calories in available food. So where availability of the food, lack of food we have, that in that cases the undernourishment nourishment, these terms are very common. Okay, and malnourishment is a lack of specific components of food like protein, vitamin, minerals, essential chemicals, chemical elements. So that time it is called by malnourishment. Okay, now land resources. All we know that whatever we have the land, whatever we have the rock, soil, we have all are called the lithosphere. All are the land resources. The surface layer of the land is called soil. The soil is renewable natural resource. It provides mechanical support to the flora. Okay, due to the priority of water holding capacity, what will happen? The soils are porous. Okay, so that is why the water, it can hold the water, and the water can pass through these layers, and it can be collected as a groundwater. And the annexing capacity of the soil ensures the availability and supply of micro and macronutrients for the plants also. Exactly. So what will happen? But what we can see, due to our activity, due to land pollution, these are the some of the degradation that we can have, like the maximum lands are degraded due to the cutting of the trees, the deforestation. Okay, next, land is getting polluted due to the mixing of the chemicals, mixing of the non biodegradable materials like plastics. So these are the some of the severe critical cases that we are facing in our recent years. And also one term we have, that is desertification. Desertification means this is a slow process which is the skin disease. It's like the skin disease of the planet. Okay, so land degradation refers to deterioration of or loss of fertility, productivity of the soil. Though the land resources are very much related to natural disaster like volcano eruption, earthquake, but it is also the humans, we are the human activity that soil gets polluted. Okay, so that is what the like uncontrolled grazing by cattle family, by cattle, that is or wrong for the wrong cultivation practices, that is also the cause of the soil erosion. So all these are the causes of the soil causes for the soil degradation or soil pollution. Now these are the mineral resources. So whatever the mineral resources, that is the metals we have, that is called the mineral resources. The mineral resources are of some of the types, like the elements for metal production or technology, building materials, minerals for chemical industry, minerals for agriculture. Okay, so these are the some of the types of resources, mineral resources that we have. Sodium and iron at a rate of about 0.1 to 1 billion metric tons per year are consumed. Nitrogen and phosphorus, potassium, calcium are used at a rate of 10 to 100 million metric tons per year. Zinc, copper, aluminium, and lead are used at the rate of 3 to 10 million metric tons per year. You can see uh, we are using these mineral resources so in a large amount. Okay, so this over or excessive use of these minerals also, that will be very harmful for our sustainability. Okay, now forest resource. So forest resource generally are important renewable resources. The forest is biotic community, predominantly forest resource means trees, shrubs, okay, the large trees, the small trees, the plants. Okay, so most tropical forest generally we have, that is the western Ghats, that is Kerala, Maharashtra and Karnataka. Dry tropical forest that we have in MP and UP. Okay, so these are the some of the forest types of the forest that we have. This is the forest resources. Now chipko movement, very important. Okay, chipko movement generally we are having generally the women, you can see the women's holding the trees. Okay, so what will happen, they are protesting against cutting the trees by holding the trees, okay, together. So this is called chipko movement. The chipko movement in 1987 generally we have action took place spontaneously in 1973. Over the next 5 years spread to many districts in the Uttar Pradesh, Uttaranchal, in the UP and Uttaranchal. Okay, the Chipko protest in Uttar Pradesh achieved a major victory in 1980 with a 15-year ban on green filling in the Himalayan forest of that state by the order of India's and then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. Okay, so this movement is a great success uh, to protest against the cutting of the trees. Okay, so this is all about the today's topic. Now this is a very quick review how much you have got from my discussion. For that I have given you one question, that is, what are the two types of natural resources that we have, and for that you have 10-second time. Yeah, your 10-second time is over. And yes, of course, the answer is renewable and non-renewable resources that we have. These are the two types of natural resources that we have. So this is a recapitulation. Whatever we have discuss today, that is components of environment, the classifications that we have discussed, the and the resources, the natural resources and classification of resources and classification of natural resources also we have discussed. Next, we have discussed the forest resource. We have discussed about the water resource, about the mineral resource, and the chipko movement. Okay, so next day we will discuss about the population growth. So please, students, follow the classes properly and submit the assignments within the time. Okay, thank you, students. So, thank you, students, and next day we will discuss about the, we will see the derivation of the population growth. So, see you in the next class.